holiday cooking or, when I was in the kitchen for a
What's
while.
up, everyone? Continue to enjoy breakfast, and let's leap into this week's Parsha. This week's Parsha opens with a very famous verse. Ele toldot Noach, Noach ish tzadik tamim haya bedorotav, et ha'elohim hitalech Noach. These are the generations of Noah. These are the adventures of Noah. If I wanted to sort of spin it a little more contemporarily, Noah was a righteous and whole person in his generation. And at the end of the verse, we're told that Noah walked with God. I want to focus with you on something that many of the commentators harp on. And this verse is ripe fodder for a great deal of commentary. But one can't help but notice the fact that Noah, the name Noah, appears twice at the beginning of the verse. Ele toldot Noah. These are the genealogies, the adventures, the episodes of Noah. And then Noah was in the rest of the verse. And so the redundancy sparks much discussion. And there's a comment that comes from a text called Nachalat Yaakov, in which the author of that text says, Kodem kol holid et atzmo. Why does it say, Ele toldot Noach, Noach ish? Right? Why does it double up on Noah's name? Noah gave birth to himself. Now, obviously, the author of the text knows that if you scroll back a column, you know that we're given Noah's lineage and his ancestry and who his father was. So one has to sort of go a little bit deeper and say, all right, what's he really saying by that comment? Because obviously it's not a biological statement. It's not a statement of how Noah came into the world, but rather he says that in the world in which Noah lived, with all of the corruption, with all of the sinful behavior, with all of the negativity that was going on in the world around him, Noah matzah et atzmo. Noah found himself. Noah found the essential, good, noble person that he was born as, and was able to maintain and claim as his identity. So what the Nachalat Yaakov is saying first is that it's not that Noah gave birth to himself in a literal sense, but rather Noah cultivated all of the divine potentiality that was within him, and thereby he created who he was as a person. And ultimately, that's a very powerful and true statement, not just for Noah, but for all of us. We all know who our ancestors were. You know, some people even have family trees that have been created that go back generation after generation after generation. And you can say, oh, you know, these are my parents, and these are their parents, and these are my great-grandparents, and my great-great-grandparents, and so on, going back for many generations. But what's important for the Nachalat Yaakov is not your ancestry alone, but how you have developed as a person in your own right. And he ties it to a statement in the book of Numbers where it says, Vayityaldu al mishpachotam leveit avotam. When the Torah is talking about the census that took place at the beginning of the book of Numbers, it says, Vayityaldu al mishpachotam, that they were born into their families according to their ancestral homes. And there too, there was a feeling that the verse was redundant. And so he goes on to say, Hem ki'ilu holidu et atzmam mechadash lehorehem. It is as if they were created anew by themselves for their parents. That they became new entities and therefore seemed like new kids to their parents. The closest example that I can think of is the experience that sometimes happens to the parents of college freshmen. You know, the kid leaves for college, and the mental picture that you have as the parent is over here, and then the child comes back and is over here. But your mental picture is still in the same place. And, oh, wait a second, when did you start eating, I'll speak for my mother, yogurt? When did you suddenly develop a fondness for eggplant parmesan, which I tried to get you to eat for years and years and years, and you turned your nose up at? Yes, the chuckling you hear and what you can't see is the nodding of all the parents in the room. Right? So, yes, we do recreate ourselves as we have a whole host of new experiences, and we sometimes feel like new people when we reintroduce ourselves to our parents after some of those experiences. It could be a trip over the summer or camp over the summer. There are any number of experiences where we're separated from our family, and that's when we sort of do our own work on creating who we are. And so for the Nachalat Yaakov, this process of creating oneself, or perhaps recreating oneself, is to do so in such a way that you become worthy of your name and your lineage. When Noah was born, everybody looked at him and said, Zeh Yinachamenu. This one is going to be the one who brings comfort. It's a lot of weighty expectation. And Noah doesn't necessarily bring tremendous comfort, but he creates a path for himself in which he brings comfort to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. He brings a certain measure of comfort to the Holy One by being the one who helps restart the family line, the family tree of humanity.
This brings to mind the story of Reb Zusha.
Ah, yes. Yeah, Reb Zusha is on his deathbed, and he's a little agitated and upset, and his students and his friends try to comfort him, and they say, you know, you were such a great scholar and whatever, and you did all these great things, and you know, you were almost and at the end he says, look, I'm not worried that they're going to ask me if I was, you know, up to the level of Moshe or Yeshua or some other great person. What I'm really worried about is that they're going to ask me, were you as great as Zusha could be? And that I'm not sure I can answer affirmatively.